Hello people, my name is Ferdy and in this video I will show you how to work with the Atomic editor Elementor version 4. So over here I have my flexbox with 4 elements in it. You see it's a mess. And over here I can style everything, the layout, the spacing, the size. But I can also learn how to work with classes. So if I click over here, you see I already have created a few classes. I will show you step by step in the tutorial how to create all these classes. And instead of adjusting everything over here so I can place everything below each other, but instead of doing that, I will use classes for everything. So I have the flexbox selected and I search for the class section M, and that creates space on top and below. If I want to place everything below each other, I search for flex column. Everything's below each other. I want to bring it to the center, so I say flex center. I want to have more space everywhere, so I search for gap and I can choose if I want to have a large gap or a medium gap. This is all within the flexbox. Then I can go to this header over here and I can go to the style and I say I want to have a subheading. And I want it to be orange. I select color orange and I go to the second header. I go to style, I say heading medium. Over here I think the text has too much width, so I click on this element, go to the style and I say max. I choose max width 800. I also want to align it to the center, so I search for center, text align center. I go to this button, to the style, and I say button. I can choose the orange button or the dark blue button. So we set it up once, and I will show you how in this tutorial how to do that, and then we can use it in our entire website. So let me duplicate this. Let me show you one more thing. I click over here on the flexbox. I go to style and I say background dark. There you go. Now this is all dark. So what I say, I can create a new class saying light text. Hit enter. Now I go to typography and I say that the text color should be white. And now I've created a new class. That's how easy it is. And all those classes we're going to create are optimized for all devices. In the description of this tutorial I have timestamps, so if you want to go to a specific part in the tutorial, you can click on the timestamp and you go directly to that part of the tutorial. When I go to fast for you, you can go to the settings here at YouTube, go to playback speed and slow down the speed of the tutorial. And if you want to go back a few seconds in the video, just hit the left arrow on your keyboard and you will go back 5 seconds in the video. And now if you want to, you can go to the YouTube settings and change the audio track to a different language. If you can appreciate that I made this video, then please like the video and feel free to subscribe for more upcoming tutorials on how to make money with your website and how to make money with affiliate marketing, e-commerce, even though e-commerce is also a website. So when I say with your website and I say e-commerce, it's kind of saying the same thing. Now let's get started. Let me show you, if you don't have Elementor yet, how to get version 4. So in order to get started with Elementor version 4, let's go to ferdy.com/Elementor. So I can go to the plans. Before there was a button over here where you can download Elementor, the free version. They hid it or it's not even there anymore. So what we can also do, we can go to our WordPress website. I will hover over here. I will go to plugins. I click on add a plugin and over here is Elementor. If you don't see that, go to Elementor or type that in. And then over here, I click on install now. I activate it. Then I click on the X over here. I go to Elementor, to the editor, to tools. Then I go to the third tab, version control. Over here, I say I want to be a beta tester. So I click on enable. I save the changes. Now I go to the dashboard to updates and I click on check again. Reinstall version 6.9 can also help. There it is, plugin. It has a 1 next to it. So if I click over here, now it says Elementor has a new version, which is 3.35 beta 2. I click on update now. It's updated. And now we're gonna get started. And there's so much to learn. It's a steeper learning curve than when we switched from columns to containers. But I will show you really slowly how everything works. So if you open Elementor for the first time, go to new page. Call this one home page or home. Publish, publish. And now we can edit it with Elementor. If you want to have a dark interface, click over here, go to user preferences and make this dark and turn on quick edit options. What we're going to do, the first thing we're going to do over here, we see atomic elements. As I said before, they're creating more and more atomic elements. Those are from version 4. You see that by the icon over here. And below that, there are the version 3 elements. So if I would drag a button over here from version 3, you see content, style, and advanced. Well, If I go to the atomic element and I drag a button over here, now we see general, style, and interactions. So really important to say, if you click on the plus, you can create a flexbox or a grid. Don't use those. When you want to create something new using version 4, go to the atomic elements and drag a div block over here. And there it goes. Now, I can style the div block, but what I will do first, I will create an element and I'm going to show you how to work with version 4. So I click on the plus, I go to a button and I drag this button over here. So by default, it grabs the colors of my website of Elementor, but I really don't like it. So the first step is general. That's the content. That's quite the same. So I can say go to ferdy.com. Then we can have a link. I click on the plus and I go for HTTPS ferdy.com, open in a new tab. That's cool. Now we go to style and this is where the magic happens. If this is highlighted local, that means that if I change something over here, spacing or size or position, it will only be changed for this particular element. So let me duplicate this element. Then I want to go to the div block, go to layout. I go to flex and bring everything below each other. And I bring everything to the left. And here at columns, I go to rem and I say 1 rem. So there's a little bit of space. So if I go to the button over here and I go to background and I decide to change the background to something like this, it changes over here, but it does not change over here. If I go to the second button and I go to style, I see local and nothing has changed. So that's what happens when you use the local class. Now, if I go back to the first button, what I really like is that it's still open. So if I go to the second button, I go to general and I'm over here and I decide to go back to the first button, it's at style and this is still open. So this is really good for the workflow. So if I open size, I'm like, okay, what's the size again? Let me go to the other button to style size. Now I go back to the first button, it's still opened. And before you had to go back from general to style. So this will save you a lot of time. So instead of designing things using the local class, I want to make use of a specific class. So everything we change in that class can be used by other buttons that use the same class. Let me show it to you. Let me click over here. I go to the style. And by the way, if you have adjusted something, there is a nice pink dot. If I close this, you see it over here. So you see at once in the overview what is changed. So I bring this back. I clear this. So now they're exactly the same. And what I will do now, I click over here and I'm going to create a class for this button. And I call this one primary-button. I hit enter and now I've created a class. Now, when we change something over here, it is all saved into this class, not anymore in the local button. So what kind of button do I want to create? Well, I would definitely want to change a lot of things. The first thing I want to change is the background. So I go over here. So I got this color. Awesome. Now I go to typography and I want to make the text color lighter. Let's go for blue. And a bit lighter, this one. Then I want to go to the border. And let's say the border radius. Let's make it, I want to work with the rem. Let's make it 2 rem. So if I close everything, I see with this primary button class, there's typography, background, and border that is changed. Everything else is the same. But what happens when I hover over this area? Nothing. Well, within the same class, we can easily click over here and go to the hover state. And this can be done with anything, not only with buttons, also with containers, with every single element there is. Super cool. So now at the hover state, I want to change the background color to another color, for instance, lighter blue. So if I hover over it, there you go. And if I want to, it's not necessary, I can go to the typography and I say on the hover state, I want to change the color to something lighter. So not only the background changes, also the text changes. I click on publish. If I want to see the result, I say Command P or Control P. This is how it looks. So it can be that for every single button on my website, I want to use this style. Well, the only thing we need to do now, if we want to apply it to other buttons, is going to that button and then over here, type in primary. There it is already. By the way, if you just click, You see all the classes already, and then you can filter them by typing it primary button. And at once it has the same style. Now if I go to one of those buttons and I have the primary button class selected and it's highlighted by this beautiful color, and I say, you know what, I want to change the typography color to white. Then it changes on the complete website. This is gonna help us to work so much more productive. And the great thing is you're not limited by only one class. We can have multiple classes, and we're gonna do that. Create classes for borders, create classes for light or dark text, create classes with a lot of spacing or less spacing. We can, in a matter of a few clicks, adjust the look and feel of our website and start building websites like never before. So to summarize it for now, we're gonna cover so much more things. If you want to adjust things locally, so let's add a new button. If you want to adjust the cell locally, you have this highlight, you can go to background, change it. But what I prefer you do, make use of a class. So I go for the primary button, and there it is. The only thing that happens now, when you use a class like this, you can override it using local. So it's overwritten because over here I decided to go with a darker background. If I get rid of it, it goes back to the blue one again. So that's how we can work. So what we've done now, we created one style. And if you take a look at it, I adjusted multiple things. But if you take a look at everything you have over here, the layout, align self, other, flex, spacing, margin, padding, sizes, width, height. For every single thing you can change over here, you can create a separate class. And we're gonna do that. It's a matter of dragging a button over here. Then add the class padding, add the class blue background, add the class white text. So you can style a complete button. And in the case of a button, I think that's a good idea. But what you also can do, you can create radius classes, background classes, text classes, gap classes. We have to create them once, and then it's a matter of dragging the content in and styling it with the classes. And this is so powerful. Before we're gonna do that, let me talk about the colors. But because before we went to the site settings for version 3, and then we had the global colors, and I placed them there because maybe somewhere in the course tutorial, we're gonna make use of it as a backup. But how does it work with version 4? Well, I'm glad you asked it. Let me show you. So let's drag something over here. A title, then we can go to the style, then we can go to the typography, and then we see a text color. I can choose a color, or if I hover over it, I see this over here, variables. So instead of global colors, we use variables. So what I will do, I will add my variables, all the colors I want to use in my website, and then later on, throughout making my website, I can make use of the variables. So I always know the colors I can choose, and I never have to go to this thing and make something up. So in order to do that, I click over here. There is no variable. You need to upgrade for Elementor Pro. Just kidding. I suggest you do it because then there's more power, but we're gonna come to that. Right now, we use the free version. I click on create a variable, and I want to create a variable orange. So how should I call this? Let me check in with myself. Orange. I use small letters. You cannot use spaces. Whoa. So I say orange. If you have more orange colors, then you can say light orange, orange light. So I just say orange, and then I go to my notes, and then I'm gonna paste the note. Make sure that you also use the hashtag, otherwise it will not work. So there it is. What else? If I click over here, I can click on the plus, and I can say dark, no, without capitals, dark blue. And I paste it, and I create it. Then I click on it again, click on the plus, I go for light blue. And another one, click on the plus, and I want to use text. So for now, those are the colors I want to use. If I want to use other colors, I can add them later. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's create something amazing. What I will do, I will go to ferdy.com, and I want to create something like this. Let's start easy, and then throughout the videos, I will show you more and more. But now, oh, it's time to show you the power of the Atomic Editor. I'm so happy. Just as happy as I was when I first understood, or when I first got to know Elementor in 2017, I was like, wow, where have you been all my life? And now it's getting even better. So I want to copy this content and then I want to adjust it. So let's take a look over here. I need a container. In the container, I need a heading, a paragraph. Then I want to have a container or a flexbox with 3 containers in it. And then with a title and a button. Let's build that. So I go to the div block. I always start with a div block. A div block is lighter than a flexbox. The interesting thing is you can turn a div block into a flexbox and you can turn a flexbox into a div block. It's a bit complicated, but my rule of thumb, and maybe that can change, and maybe if you think it could be different, let me know. I start with a div block because it has a bit less options, but it's also lighter. So if I don't need a flexbox, I use a div block, and then in that div block, I place a flexbox. So let's say Command or Control I, div block, I call this one WordPress Education. And this is for me the wrapper, because if I want to create a background, I want the background to be full width, but I want the content to be 1120. And there's no more option. If you go to layout, there's no more option like full width. We need to do that using a class. So there's the WordPress Education, and in that I will create a flexbox. So I drag it over here. And that's where the content is. So I can say content. So let me show you something. If I want to have a dark background in my website, I click over here. I go to style, and then I create a class, which is called background-dark. Now I go to background. I go to color. Do I have this color? If so, I can just select it over here. I use the color text right now because it's a dark background. Okay, that's awesome. If I say Command P, I see it's over the whole width, so that's good. If I click on Publish and I click on the eye, I see the result over here, this dark line. Now, with content, I want to have a light background. So I go background light. And the great thing is we have to set it up only once, but in a few minutes we will have more than 10 classes and we can use them over and over again. So I click on background light, I create one, and there I go to background, and I can say a little bit off white. So not white, a little bit lighter. Okay. Awesome. Now Command P. It's also over the whole width. So what I will do, here at content, I create another class and I call this one boxed. You always need to start with a letter. I cannot say 1120 because then I get a reprimand. Boxed dash 1120. Now I go to size. Max width of this area should be 1120. And this is a place in the website where I still use pixels. For almost everything else, I use rem. So now if I say Command P, I see it's 1120, but it's not in the middle. How can I bring it to the middle? Then I go to spacing. Let me unlink the margins, and at the right, I change it from pixels to auto. And at the left, I also change it to auto. Now if I say Command P, it's in the center. So the background was just for illustrations. Something else I want to mention is over here, there is not a lot of spacing. So if I would drag a title in it, let me do that, a heading, there's not much spacing. So what I want to do at the content area, I want to talk about container-m. What do I mean with that? If I have a container, or maybe better, it's your game. You can decide what you want to do. Section M. What I mean by that is I will give every single Flexbox container a class called section, and then M, L, or XL, or extra small, or S, and that decides the amount of padding above it and below it. So I hit enter, and with the section M, I go to spacing, and then over here, I say change this to rem, and let's go for 4. So now it's on all sides, so I'll link this, and at the right, I say nothing, and at the left, I say nothing. So now it says section M means that the whole container, the whole Flexbox has some spacing on top and at the bottom. So let's say I say section L. And now I say over here, it's unlinked. I say, let's go for 6 at the top and 6 at the bottom. Change it to rem. Why is this one, section L, overruling section M, even though they're both selected? Well, if I click over here, I go to the class manager and you see we already have quite a few classes. I click on got it. The one that's on top will be the one that is used. So section L is above section M. So if I drag section M on top, now this one is used. So here you can have the order, and that can also help you to decide, to let Elementor decide which one should be selected. Of course, I should not select two of the same classes with a different value. So I will go back over here and I want to go for section M. So I get rid of this one, remove. So this is working. I use those backgrounds just for illustration. So what I will do, I will go to the WordPress education wrapper. I get rid of the background, and over here at content, I also get rid of the background. And here you see which one is active. Are you excited? I hope you are. If you're excited, or if you're happy, or if you're breathing, please like the video. Feel free to subscribe for more upcoming tutorials. 2026, I want to take it to the next level. In 2025, I played it safe. I moved, a lot of things going on. This is the year I want to. That's why I use RAM, by the way. And normally I'm safe with my pixels. I want to live as good as possible and get everything out of it. And also by my YouTube channel, go to the next level. So that's why I use RAM. Ferdy, what's your plan for this year? Okay, I drank coffee since a long time, so I'm a bit excited. Okay, what's going on? What we're gonna do? We're going to an old website, and I have a heading, and a paragraph. So I have a heading, I click on the plus, and I have a paragraph. Then I have a container flexbox with 3 flexboxes in it. So I will drag a flexbox over here at the right. And in that flexbox, I want to have another flexbox. And in that flexbox, I see a title and a button. So I go for a title and a button. Now, I'm happy to see that most used elements are already in the Atomic editor. So button. So what I want to do now, I want to duplicate it. I want to create a new area over here. So let me create a flexbox. First, click on the plus, create a div block, and then I go to the size and I say the height should be 1000 pixels. So later on, right now we're gonna create a lot of classes, but after that we're gonna do the same, but then the classes are already there, and then I will show you how fast we can adjust everything over here. So what we're gonna do, step by step, I'm gonna show you how to use classes in order to make this look better. So I go to the upper area over here, and you see everything is next to each other. I want to change that. So I could go to layout, bring everything below each other, but instead I create a new class and I call this one flex column. And in that class, I say everything should be below each other. Awesome. Then I see everything is not in the center. So how about I go for flex center? And then at flex center, I'm gonna bring everything to the center. If that's not working, over here to the center. Then I see there's not a lot of space in between. So I go for a gaps M. And then I can always create L, XL, S. Right now, every value I prefer to use, I call this M. That's my base. And then from there, I can go bigger or smaller. So gaps M, and then I go to layout. Over here, I use rem. So 20 pixels is 1.25 rem because it's 16 times 1.25. So what I also do, I don't even go to the calculator. If I say I want to have 20 pixels divided by 16, I need to go for 1.25, 1.25. I copy it, I paste it So now this is 20 pixels. And then again, if I later want to have gaps L, enter, then I can say 2, rem, and then it's bigger. And then over here I see which one they choose. They choose L because it's on top of M. But what I would do, I would get rid of one of them. So here at the content, I get rid of L. But do you see how fast we're creating a framework with all those classes? This will be a really big list, and then it's a matter of typing and adjusting the styles. If you want to, let me know in the comments what you think of this and if things need to be improved. I am really excited about this. I'm so happy. So this is the title, okay, paragraph. Let's take a look at this later. I want to copy the content, but be careful, because if I copy this, it looks like, okay, this area is just a matter of plain HTML. So if I paste this, it would be plain HTML, but I see it has a style. I don't know how it works. I can get rid of it like this, but what I prefer to do, I just like to type it as it is. So when you copy something, it also copies a style. So what I do, look at this. I select it, Command C, Command T, Command V, Command A, Command C, Command W. What I do, I want to get rid of the styling, so I copy the text, then I go to a new tab, I paste it, because here there's no format, so every format I had, the color or the boldness or the size is gone. I copy it again, Command A, Command C, I close it, Command W, and then I can paste it without any style, because we want to do the styling in the style editor. So the same thing, Command C, Command T, Command V, Command A, Command V. And then if there's a better way to do this, let me know. Maybe I can copy it without the style, Command Shift F7, I don't know. Then there's the paragraph, which also has a style, so Command C, Command T, Command V. There you go. So there's a lot we can do in order to make it look more like this. So let's get started with that. I click over here, I go to the style, and I want to create a subheading. So I can say subheading, or if I want to have all the headers the same, heading sub. Okay, so right now I'm gonna style the heading sub, and then when I've done that, and later I want to use a heading sub, I can just grab the style, and it's exactly the style I want it to be. So I wanted it to be in capitals, so I go to Typography, and I show more. I go for uppercase. I want it to be smaller, so I go to font weight. I want it to be bolder and smaller. So I go to rem, and I start with 1. I like it. It doesn't have to be exactly the same, but I like this. And if I want every single subheading to be orange, I could make it orange. But what I also can do, I can say color orange. And then now I can go to Typography, click over here, grab orange. So in that way, I can also create a heading sub and give it a color blue. So if I get rid of this one, it's not orange anymore. So in that way, instead of having with the button all the styles for the button, I can also have a separate class for every single style. So I go for orange again, and there it is. I love it. Oh, let's go to this one. Style. I go for heading normal, so heading M. Then I go to Typography. I want it to be bolder. By default, it's medium. So if I say semi-bold, it becomes a bit bolder. I like the font size, even though I want to work with rem 2 or 3. Be careful, because sometimes it switches back to pixels and then it becomes really small. But if you think of the last video, instead of using rem in fonts, I want to make use of clamping. So I go to ferdy.com. I search for best sizes. Here you go. I click over here, best size for your website. The 1 or the M size header M is H1 or no H2. I copy it. Over here, line height says 115. So what I will do, I change rem to fx, custom function, click outside of this area. Then I click on show more, and then I go for line height to EM 1,15. That's better than using a rem font size. So it says that every heading M is 42 pixels on a desktop screen and 29 pixels on a smartphone. Guys, I want to give credit where credit is due. I want to acknowledge 2 people. I'm not the first one who's creating tutorials about Elementor version 4. The first one, or not the first one, but 2 other people that I've seen are Rino the Boer, a friend of mine. He's doing live streams on how to build with Elementor version 4. I've seen a few of his videos, some parts. And the video that inspired me so much is from Jeffrey from Leadbox. It's crazy. This guy, he knows so much about making websites. I've been following him for the last days. I was like, whoa, this guy knows what he's talking about. And his studio is amazing. So if you scroll down a bit or you search for Elementor 4.0 class-based workflows, video of 11 minutes, here he explains everything in such a great way. A lot of respect to him. I never want to copy people, but I do want to get to know, immerse myself in Elementor version 4. And those 2 authors or YouTubers really helped me. So I want to acknowledge them. Please subscribe to their YouTube channels. They are making amazing videos in a different way than I do. And I think you guys are the winners here because there are so many different ways of teaching things. And we can benefit from all the people that teach about Elementor. So a lot of acknowledgement to those 2 amazing people. Let's continue. I think it can be a bit bolder. Okay, and again, if I want to have a color, I say color dark blue. It's selected now. I go to typography, to the color dark blue. Actually, I want to use light blue. Clear this, go to light blue, and now I can just rename this. Rename color light blue. Over here, I see a few things. First, I go to style. So I create a text M, normal text, typography, font weight. It is all okay. I go to rem and I want to go for 1 rem. And see, it switches back to pixels and then it's really small. So 1 rem. Let's see how 1.25 looks. Let's go for 1. 1 is okay. Then, really important, spacing. Line height. I go for EM. One, 6. So I think this is really too wide to read. I don't like it. So what I can do for this text, I say a max width of 800. Then I go to size. I say max width. I want to use rem. I think it's 50. So let me go to the calculator. 800 divided by 16 is 50. Okay. Then, did I already have text align center? No. So text align center, then I go to typography, center. I like it a lot. And if I want to change something, text M, I think I can go to 125 or I create a new one, text L. I get rid of text M. Text L. Let's go for rem 125 and then the line height EM 1,6. Yes. Awesome. It can be bolder. So text L, font weight. Sorry, that's the heading. So I click over here, heading M, make it extra bold. Nice. So how about this area? I click over here. I want everything to be below each other. So what I say, flex column. So everything is below each other. If I want to, I can duplicate it duplicate it. What else I can do? I can create a card M flexbox. So I'm gonna do a lot of things in this card class. So for instance, the size. So I go for a height of 30. It's maybe you think nothing is happening. I thought that too, but it's because the background is white. So okay, this is good. What I want to do then, I want the layout position to be at the left and then below, like that. Then I want to go to background. I can go for a color, like that, but I want to go for an image. So what I will do, I will unlink this, get rid of it, click on the plus, go for an image, select files. I have all the files over here. And I want to go for the first image, which is this one, YouTube. Okay, look at this. I really like how this is displayed. It can be 1024 is okay. Position, center, center. No repeat. And I like to use it as a cover. Now I want to have a border radius. I can do that by creating a new class, radius, or border radius M. And I go to border and I want to have a radius of 1.25. There you go. I go back to card M. Okay, for that's good for now. I click over here. I go to the style and I can go for a heading M. Okay, so I want to go for a heading S, smaller. Get rid of this one. Then I go to, not to size, but to typography. Font weight. Let's say 600, font size. Then I go to new tab, to Ferdy. Best sizes. Over here, and then let's go for H3. Copy it. Go to FX. Paste it. This is recorded later, so it can be that when you look back in a few seconds that you see font size 2 or 3 again. So I keep learning, and that's the total truth. Then I want to go for color white. I go to typography. And we're still in the oh, there's no white. So I click on white. We're still setting up our framework. This is going to be so much easier when everything is created. Okay. Then I go to the text, or it's selected. I go to general and I say tutorials. Over here, I go to the style and I go for the button, but it is an orange button. So what I can also do, take a look over here. I cannot copy classes as far as I know yet. So again, I have to go to background. I should go for the orange color. Then I go for typography. I go for the white color. And I need to go for the border and go for to rem. And the typography, I think the font weight can be bolder. And there I say, go to tutorials. Of course, we can have a link to the tutorial page. Okay, but it's what I'm missing here is a gradient with blue. So in order to create that, I go over here to the card. It's selected. So here at the background, I can create an overlay. So I click on the plus, and I go for a gradient. Color 1, I want it to be transparent, like that. Color 2, I want it to be, let me see, can I select? So what I should do, let's go to typography, choose the dark blue color. I want to adjust it. So I copy this, I'm not going to use it. So over here, I clear this. I go to the, where was it? The background, gradient, color 2, paste it over here. Then I bring this to the right. So it only is seen here below. By the way, we need some space over here. So I say gaps. No. Let's go for padding M. So I go to padding M, spacing, that's padding, rem. I say 1.25. Okay. And then over here, I also want to have gaps. M. Like that. And I prefer to rename this to padding L. And then I'm going to play around. I say 2. And that's the way the cookie crumbles. Publish. So now I can copy this. And when I paste the style, I'm pasting all those classes. Let me go over here. I think because of the padding, there is less space over here. So let's say Command I. I'm here at the flexbox and I say gaps M. Okay. Well, copy this, paste the style, copy, paste the style. But now I think this is what brings us to components, because right now I want to go to local to replace this image. So I go to local because I don't want to make use of the border. By default, if I create a border with this style, this image will appear. I want to override that by going to local, background, clicking on the plus, and I select an image, which is this one. But now, let me style this, center, cover. And over here, the third one, I go to local, background, and override that with this one. Again, center, close, or don't use repeat. But now that gradient is gone. So what I can do, I can make use of a component there. The style will remain the same, and I only can adjust the things I want them to adjust. So if you want to learn about that, then you can watch another tutorial in the course, because I'm definitely going to cover that. Right now, I don't. But now I have a problem, because since I've overwritten the background, I need to create a new overlay. Well, how you can do it, but there must be a better way. What I can do, I can go to the card M, grab this color, think about, place it at 100, 100, over here, 47. So now I can recreate it, but that's the whole goal of this cool editor, that should not be needed. So let's go to local, click on it. Over here, I place this, and over here, I bring this to 0. What was it? 41. Over here, I do the same at local. I click on the plus, gradient, paste it, go to the second one, or the left one, bring it to the left, and then say 41. It's doable, but there must be a better way. So we're almost there. Tutorials here. Courses, copy, go to courses, and here is recommended, copy, go to, or I just say recommended, or otherwise it becomes quite long. So let's publish it. But how does it look on other devices? Well, if I drag this to the left or to the right, okay, it becomes smaller. This is not good. So let's start with that. This is also not what I want. So for a tablet, I'm like, you know what? things should be below each other. By the way, if I make this smaller, okay. So I go over here, Command I. Let's see if I have the right one. And then I go to local, layout, below each other. But now look at this. So it still looks like this. And if I bring it to the right, it starts to look like that. Well, that's not what I want. I want people to see my beautiful face. So I'll go over here. Let's see. Background, where are you? That's interesting. Let's go to the card. There it is. It's not interesting. I was just not paying attention. I changed the position to center top. Top center. Nothing changes over here, but it will change on all devices. So it focuses on this area. Also here, courses, top center. Over here, it doesn't really matter, but to stay consistent, top center. Now, if I make it smaller, it's below each other. My face is still there. And a beautiful overlay. So for the phone, start learning today, text, and those 3 areas. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the way. That the cookie crumbles. So we have this area, beautiful, and it's optimized for all devices. Very nice. Remember that we created the same area here below. Let's see how easy it is to adjust things. Now we have all the classes. So let me see. I go to the top container, the WordPress education. I do nothing over there, but at content, I already have these two. How can it be? I don't know. Let's get rid of everything. Remove. Okay, I start from scratch with content. Then I say section. I can go for L, so I have extra space over here. Then I go to the heading. Of course, I can change it. Let's focus on the style. So I say this is a subheading, heading sub. There you go. I go over here. I say this is a heading M. Then I go to content. I want to have a flex column. Everything is below each other. Then I want to align everything to the center. Then I want to go over here. I want to say the color is orange. Over here, the color. I see all the colors. Light blue. Paragraph, I say it's style text M and text align center. And I go to this card. Let me see. Flexbox, and in that flexbox I have a card. Okay. Then I say card M. Wham. Let's bring it back. Duplicate it over here. Duplicate it over here. You see, it's faster than what I did before when I have to set up every single class. So let's create a new area, but this time without preparation. I will just show you how I would roll. And sometimes things I'm searching like, hey, how does it work? I'm still learning things. So I'm going to create a hero. Like something like this. So what would I do? Well, let me tell you. I click on the plus. I click on the plus over here. I go for a div block, and this time I want to have 2 areas next to each other. So I start with a div block. I call this the hero. Then I want to have a flex box for the width. I call this content. And in that flex box, I want to have 2 flex boxes. Wow, if I only click on it, it already appears. That's cool. So I have content. I click on flexbox, and there it is. I click on flexbox again. There. Oh, now it's in the flexbox. That's not what I want. So I get rid of this. And over here, I duplicate it. So this is what I want. 2 flexboxes next to each other. I go to the hero and I say background. And it's dark, but I want to have a background light dash blue. So I keep on creating new classes Then I go for the variable light blue. Then I go to the content, because right now it's over the whole width. So at content, I say boxed 1120. Great, so it aligns nicely with the area below. Then I want to go to the first flex box, and here I say heading plus CTA, call to action. And I want to have a heading over here and a button. It's next to each other, so I go, let me see, to the heading and CTA, and I say flex column. Okay, and at the right, or we can go with an image, or we can go with a background. So let's try a background. Let's do that later. At the content, I also want to say create a section that is large. So if a lot of space, I like it. Over here, I want to have this. So what I will do, I will go to style. First, let me change the text. Learn how to make a website. Website using WordPress. So what I see over here, I can say I want to have some gaps. I click over here, I go to style, and I say heading hero. Okay, what do I want to do? Well, I can say color white. Then I go back to heading hero. I want to go to typography. I want to make use of capitals. I want it to be really bold. How about 9 black? Then I want to go for a background that is dark blue. Okay, now I don't want this area over here. So how can I fix that? Using heading, I think layout. Block, no, left, yeah. Align self to the left. Then I want to go for some spacing. So just as with the button in the beginning of the tutorial, in this case, I have everything at once, except for the color white. And then at the margin, everything is connected. I go to rem 1. Yeah, and then I go for the typography, the font size, rem 1, 2, 3. Then I want to go for a border. So I can say border, I can make a combination. Border radius M. There you go. And if I think the padding is too much, spacing. Wait. I'm here at the border radius. Let me go back to heading. How about 0.7? That's better. Okay, how to learn how to. Okay, then I go over here, style, hero, and then color, white, color, nice series. Okay, learn how to make a website using WordPress. Over here, I still did not make a button, so I shouldn't create a new one. Button or orange button. So I go to typography, make it a bit bolder. I go for the color white. I go for a radius. Oh, that's not a lot, so I remove this. Then I go to border radius. Let's go for rem, say 2. Okay. It's orange, but I don't see the orange color, so I go for the orange color. Let's go to layout, align it to the left, change the text to get started. I can have a link over here, of course. Okay. What else I can do? I can click over here, go to, let me see, to local, layout, no, to spacing, sorry, to size, and then at width, at percentage, I say 60, but then I should make this shorter, of course, 40. So I go to local of this one, percentage, and I say 40. I could make this bigger. So heading, typography, rem, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 6, 7. Oh, let me add the radius over here. Publish. Okay. When I hover over the button, hover, I change the background to light blue. No, because that's already the background, dark blue. So now the question is, are we going to use an image of mine in the background or not? Well, you know what? I will go for an image of myself. I will just drag an image over here. Select this one. And then I'm gonna play around with the radius, so I can say circle image. Then I go to border. Border radius in percentage, 100%. The only thing it's not perfectly a circle. Can I fix it? Let me see if what happens if I use rem. I'll just do it like this. Publish. It's really high, so I can also go back to the hero, to the content, section L, remove. I also can have nothing, so it automatically adjusts. What I want to do over here, add layout, bring it to the center, like that. And then I could do some spacing on top and at the bottom. Rem 5, so 5 times 16. This is not doing the right thing. It's doing it inside of this area, so I don't want that. So I need to go to the content, to spacing, rem, uncheck, and at the top I could say 10, which is 32 pixels, and bottom also some space. Okay. Now, hey, why not? Click over here. Go to the hover state. Go to effects. Transform. Right click on the plus. Move. How about rem 32 pixels? That's a lot. 1, also a lot. So 0,5. Some animations. Still using the free version. I think that's pretty nice. Okay, then the question is, how does it look on different devices? Oh, beautiful. Perfect. We're done. No. Over here. Let's go to the heading. Change the typography to a few less. Rems. 2.5. And then for mobile, it's going to be below each other. So I go to content and then at layout, I change it. Okay, then this is still 60%. So I go to, let me see, local, I change it to 100. I change this one to 100. By the way, if I can do things better, you're like, Ferdy, you're totally making a mistake. Let me know. I'm still learning. I'm really excited about this. 1.67. Okay. So what have we made so far? That's what we have created, optimized for all devices. I'm going to learn more about how to work with this amazing tool. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you'll learn a few new things. If so, please like the video. Feel free to subscribe for more upcoming tutorials. I will do my best to provide you with the best tutorials. This is a video that is part of a series on how to work with Elementor version 4. They're still rolling out new updates. So this is a playlist that will be continued to get more videos because I will make more videos. And if you want to learn something specific, let me know. I'll do my best to create the best tutorials possible. And then I wish you the best in everything you do. See you next time. Bye-bye.